When people talk about secrets, they often say the truth has a way of coming out whether we like it or not. I never truly believed that until one moment, one unexpected, awkward, almost unbelievable moment that changed my life forever. And it started in the most ordinary of places, the bathroom. My name is Rebecca, and I live in Ohio with my husband, Michael, and his son, Jason. Michael and I met almost 8 years ago at a community fundraiser. He was a widower, quiet and reserved, still carrying the heaviness of losing his wife. Jason was just 10 years old then, shy and withdrawn, barely speaking a word to me the first time we met. Over time, though, I found myself drawn to both of them, not just because I cared for Michael, but because I saw in Jason a boy who desperately needed stability. By the time Michael and I married, Jason had begun to warm up to me. It wasn't easy. There were moments when I thought he would never accept me. But slowly, we developed a relationship. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I felt like I was becoming a mother figure in his life, something he hadn't had in years. For a while, life felt good. Simple, even. But simple can be deceiving. Behind closed doors, Michael and I were struggling. Our marriage wasn't bad, but it wasn't alive either. We were two adults living side by side, often too tired or too caught up in routine to notice what the other was missing. I craved attention, connection, and affection in ways I didn't even realize until someone else gave it to me. That someone else was Mark, our neighbor, Michael's old friend. Mark was charming in a way that seemed effortless. He had a way of listening that made me feel heard, truly heard, in ways Michael hadn't managed in years. At first, it was innocent. We'd talk in the driveway, at neighborhood gatherings, or when he came over to watch a football game with Michael. But conversations lingered, eye contact grew longer, and soon I found myself waiting for those small chances to see him. I should have stopped it there. I should have told Michael how lonely I felt. But instead, I let myself fall further. What started as innocent chats turned into text messages. What started as texts became coffee meetups. And one day, when I least expected it, it became something more, something physical. The guilt was instant, sharp, and unbearable. I told myself it was a mistake and swore I would never let it happen again. But temptation doesn't always vanish just because we wish it would. And Mark knew exactly how to slip back into my life. One Saturday afternoon, Michael had gone to help a friend move, and Jason was upstairs working on a school project. Mark stopped by to borrow a tool from the garage. One thing led to another, and before I realized how reckless I was being, we ended up together again inside the house. And then it happened. I had slipped into the bathroom to collect myself, to splash cold water on my face, to try and calm the storm of guilt raging inside me. The door wasn't locked, something I regret more than anything now. And just as I was standing there, staring at my reflection, trying to recognize the woman I had become, the door opened. It was Jason. The look on his face is something I will never forget. Shock. Confusion. A flicker of hurt that went far deeper than I could have ever imagined. He hadn't seen everything, but he had seen enough to know something was wrong, something that didn't fit the picture of the stepmother he thought he knew. Jason, I gasped, fumbling to shut the door. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought it would burst out of my chest. I thought you were upstairs. He didn't say anything. He just stood there for a second, eyes wide, then turned and ran down the hall. I froze, my body trembling. In that instant, I knew everything had changed. Children may not always understand the details, but they understand betrayal when they see it. The hours after that moment were a blur. Jason avoided me completely, locking himself in his room. Mark left quickly, his face pale, muttering something about how we needed to handle this. I paced the living room, waiting for Michael to come home, sick with dread about what Jason might say. When Michael walked in that evening, Jason was unusually quiet at dinner. He didn't bring it up, not directly. But the way he glanced at me, the way his fork barely moved across his plate, told me he was holding a secret, and that secret was burning him up inside. I wanted to confess right then, to tell Michael everything before Jason could. But fear held me back. fear of losing my marriage, of destroying what little family we had built, of being labeled the villain forever. Days turned into weeks, and Jason's behavior grew distant. He avoided me as much as possible. He snapped at Michael more than usual, and when Michael asked what was wrong, Jason just shrugged and muttered, "Nothing." But secrets like that don't stay buried. One night, while Michael and I were cleaning up after dinner, Jason exploded. He slammed his plate on the table and shouted, "Why don't you just tell him, Rebecca?" Michael froze. "Tell me what?" he asked, looking between us. My throat went dry. Jason's eyes filled with tears. "I saw her. With Mark. In the bathroom that day. She was with him." The silence that followed was suffocating. Michael's face drained of color. He turned to me, his eyes searching mine, waiting for denial, for explanation, something. But all I could do was cry. That night turned our home into a battlefield. Michael was devastated. He asked me over and over again how I could betray him, betray Jason, betray the life we had tried so hard to build together. Jason locked himself in his room again, but this time, the door wasn't just a barrier. It was a wall of mistrust that I knew might never come down. In the weeks that followed, we tried counseling. We tried talking. We tried pretending. But the truth had dug too deep. Jason no longer looked at me as a stepmother, but as the woman who broke his father's heart. And Michael, though he tried, couldn't bring himself to forgive. Eventually, our marriage ended. Michael filed for divorce, and I moved out of the house. The day I packed my things, Jason didn't come downstairs. I stood there, staring at the staircase, hoping for even a goodbye. But it never came. Now, years later, I look back on that moment in the bathroom as the turning point of my life. One careless choice, one unlocked door, one child's innocent eyes witnessing something they never should have, and everything unraveled. I tell this story not because I'm proud of it, far from it. I tell it because secrets don't stay secrets forever. And sometimes, the people who get hurt the most are the ones who had no part in your mistakes. If I could go back, I would have chosen differently. I would have spoken up sooner, sought help, fought for my marriage instead of seeking comfort elsewhere. But regrets don't rewrite history. They only remind you of the lessons you learned too late. Today, Jason is grown. He's in college now, building a life of his own. We don't speak. Michael and I are civil when we occasionally cross paths, but the bond we once shared is gone. All because of a moment I didn't expect, and a choice I will regret forever.